Hey guys, welcome back, it's Ripe again. In today's video, my entitled aunt tries to steal my beachfront property and house after my uncle died. She threatens to sue me if I don't give her the property. Here is what happened, let's dive right into the story. And the first one starts like this. It's been 10 years since my parents died in a tragic plane crash, leaving me orphaned at the age of 15. It was a struggle to come to terms with the fact that I would never see them again, but I was lucky enough to have a blood relative, my divorced uncle, who stepped in and took me under his wing. After my parents' death, we moved to a beautiful neighborhood near a beach in South Africa. It has been my home ever since my parents died, and I love my uncle for giving me a new start at life. Though I cannot say that his life, and by extension mine, was without any problems. You see, the time my parents passed away was also the time my uncle finalized his divorce. Let's call my ex-aunt Karen. I met her a few times in the 3 months they were together, but after their divorce my uncle refused to let me meet her. Still, despite my uncle's reservations, Karen tried her best to stay in touch with me over the past decade. At first, I appreciated her efforts to keep in touch, but as time went on and her behavior became more erratic, I began to feel uneasy about her constant presence in my life. Whenever Karen would call, she would ask probing questions about my life and my relationship with my uncle. At that time, I didn't realize, but she also tried to plant seeds of doubt in my mind, telling me that my uncle did not really care about me and that he was only taking care of me out of a sense of obligation. Despite her efforts, I never let Karen's words get to me. I continued to be civil to Karen and respond to her messages, but I made sure to keep her at arm's length and not let her get too close to me. Though I never told my uncle about her constant probing in my life, which might have been a mistake. My uncle passed away 2 months ago, leaving me all that he owned. It was a shock to me, as he had always been in good health and had never given any indication that he was nearing the end of his life. Still, I am grateful for the time we had together. After his funeral, Karen attended the wake and looked visibly upset. I thought that maybe she had loved him more than she had let on, and I made a point to talk to her and offer my condolences. However, the next day when she came to visit me, it quickly became apparent that she had other motives. Karen asked me if I would sell her my uncle's beachfront property house, my only home that I had. I was taken aback by her request, as I had always assumed that the house would remain in our family for generations to come, and also because I had literally nowhere else to go. When I asked her why she wanted it, she gave me a vague answer about wanting a change of scenery and a fresh start. I told her that I wasn't interested in selling the house and that I planned to keep it in our family. She seemed disappointed, but she didn't push the issue any further. From then on, our conversations were polite but distant, and I couldn't help but feel like there was something she was not telling me. Despite the tension between us, I decided to invite Karen to stay the night at my place, hoping that it would help to ease some of the animosity between us. That evening, we sat down for dinner and reminisced about the times we had spent with my uncle. Karen seemed genuinely touched by the memories, and I felt a sense of relief. But as the night wore on, Karen's demeanor changed. She became more talkative and seemed almost maniac at times. I tried to brush it off as her way of coping with her grief, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. The next morning, I woke up to a commotion outside my door. When I opened it, I found 2 police officers standing there with Karen standing behind them. She accused me of stealing her gold bracelet, claiming that she had noticed them missing from her purse that morning. I was taken aback by the accusation, and I knew immediately that I was being set up for something. I allowed the officers to search my home, but I had an inkling fear that Karen might have planted those bracelets in my house, and that was exactly what happened. The police found the bracelets in my bedside drawer, and Karen immediately started shouting at me, calling me a thief. But the officers intervened and said that there is no clear evidence that I was the one who took it. For anything to be proven, Karen would need to submit a FIR and make a court case against me. She quickly backed out at the prospect of court and said that she will overlook my behavior just this once. After the incident with the missing bracelets, Karen became increasingly insistent that I sell her my uncle's beachfront house and threatened to sue me if I didn't comply. At first, I tried to reason with her, but Karen would not be dissuaded. She continued to hound me, sending me countless emails and messages, and before long, I began receiving letters about various lawsuits that Karen had filed against me. The charges were absurd, ranging from forgery and harassment to trespassing and destruction of property. I knew that Karen was behind it all, but I couldn't prove it. The stress of the situation began to take a toll on me. I could not sleep and my work began to suffer. Finally, I reached my breaking point. I hired a lawyer to help me deal with Karen's legal threats and filed a restraining order against her. In the end, the restraining order was granted and Karen was forced to stay away from me and my property. It was a relief to finally have some peace, but I couldn't help but feel saddened by the turn our relationship had taken. 1 week after all of this, I woke up to the sound of shuffling and soft whispers outside my bedroom door. Instantly, I knew something was wrong. I grabbed the baseball bat I keep under my bed and slowly crept towards the living room. As I reached the doorway, I saw Karen rummaging through the cupboards. My heart pounded in my chest and I quickly reached for my phone to call for police. I knew it was gonna take them a long time and I knew I should have just shut myself in, but I don't know what came over me. After calling the police and waiting for 15 minutes, I shouted, "Me, what the hell are you doing, Karen?" Karen jumped, startled by my voice. She turned around, looking guilty as charged. Karen, where's the will? Me, why are you doing this? Karen, give me the damn will. I deserve to know what's in it. Me, I have the will, and Uncle left everything to me. Karen, that's not fair. I should have gotten something too. You're just like your uncle, always trying to keep me down. Me, you know that's not true. Don't blame him that things didn't work out between the two of you. Karen, don't you talk to me like that. You have no idea what I've been through since your uncle died. You're the reason he's dead, you know that, right? Me, what? No, I'm not. But Karen just screamed and started throwing things at my way. I tried to retreat inside my bedroom when out of seemingly nowhere, Karen held up a gun and pointed it towards me. Me, keep it down, what are you doing? Karen, I'm sick of you and your lies. You stole my husband from me and now you're trying to take everything else I have left. Me, Karen, please put the gun down. We can talk about this like rational adults. Karen was not listening though. Even though she had a gun, she still lunged forward towards me and I stumbled backwards, knocking over a lamp in the process. She continued to walk towards me but slipped on the shattered glass and I found my opportunity. I quickly grabbed her torso and knocked her out with a well-placed hit to the side of her head. I made sure she was breathing before tying her hands up and carefully placing the gun far away. The police arrived 20 minutes later and I explained the situation to them. They took Karen into custody and asked me to come in the next day to file the report. It's clear that Karen is in desperate need of help and I know that after the court hearings she will surely be in jail for not only breaking the restraining order but also all the other things she did. I also hope that they will be able to find her psychological help before she hurts more people or even herself. And yeah, Ripe Stars, I gotta say, I hope this Karen finds the help that she needs and I hope she never has to bother OP again. Anyway, if you liked the story, please don't forget to post some star emojis in the comments and maybe even like the video because that would help me tremendously. Thank you so much. The next one is titled Petty Revenge Story 1. Back when F-150 Raptors were hot and hard to get, I was selling a car at our dealership. We were one of the few dealerships not playing any games on the Raptors. The deal was MSRP minus any rebates you qualify for, plus our $300 dealer fee and TTL, which was super reasonable. Then came Tom. Tom was a royal PITA from the start. First off, he thought he was gonna haggle, and it got so bad that I straight up told him, here's your deal. If you like it, let my manager over there know and we'll take a deposit and order the vehicle, but I have other customers to attend to. Then I got up and left to meet my appointment. Tom was scheduled for noon and it was now 3 PM, a full 3 hours later. While Tom sat at my desk for a solid 15 to 20 minutes, I saw him get up and walk over to my manager's office. My manager ended up taking his deposit, explaining the process, and sending him off. For your information, out of the 1,000 plus customers I've sold, there was only one customer that I did that to, and it was Tom. Tom was special. It got worse. Here are the things that Tom did. Tom forged a dealer offer sheet from a competing dealer, trying to get us to give him a $3,000 discount. Tom called our Auto Group HQ several times to complain. Tom called Ford HQ several times to complain as well. Tom was repeatedly caught in lies. His lies would normally be, Bambi manager said, or Bambi said, when we didn't. A few weeks before his vehicle was due, he sent out a massive email that included our CSRs, myself, my manager, my GM, basically listing his demands and being incredibly unreasonable. A few hours before that email, a customer inquired about an F-150 Raptor, but unfortunately the order banks had closed and we had none in stock. We never had any in stock, by the way. But this new customer seemed super nice. So I went to my GM and said, let's sell this Raptor to this new guy who seems super chill and nice and can easily afford it, and let's refund this dude his money and tell him we cannot do business with him. My general manager agreed, so my general manager told me to write up the email and CC certain individuals. I wrote up the email. Dear Tom, after careful consideration of your last email and your past experience, we have decided we cannot meet your expectations and would not want you to be disappointed in your vehicle. Therefore, we have decided to refund your money. We have instructed our accounting department to cut a check and overnight it to the address on file. You will be receiving a refund in full. We hope you can find a dealership that can match your expectations. We wish you all the best. Then I called up my customer from earlier and said, hey man, we got a new Raptor that just became available. I can send you the window sticker and it's yours for MSRP plus the $300 dealer fee plus TTL. I sent over the window sticker. After I did that, Tom called me furious, telling us he was gonna sue us. I passed the call to my GM, who gave him our law firm's phone number and told him his lawyer could talk to our lawyer and asked Tom to not call back again. Then the new customer from that morning called me back and said that he was on the way to meet me to place a deposit and start on the paperwork. And yeah, Ripe Stars, that's exactly how you should deal with entitled stupid customers. Anyway, the next one is a story from r/Am I the A-hole. I'm a widowed mom, little one and I recently moved to another state for a multitude of reasons, mostly to stay close to my in-laws who moved to warmer temperatures for health reasons. I have a mom friend, she is a neighbor. We have been doing playdates as our daughters are around the same age. We get along great for the most part. She is going through a divorce though, and she is the one who initiated it. All she does is complain about her husband and how she hates being alone, etc. I just listen. I'm supportive as I can be. She said to me the other night that I had no idea how hard she has it. She is alone, it's better for me because my husband flat out died. He's not out there dating other women. I will never understand how alone she feels, etc. And I just laughed at her. I couldn't help it and I couldn't stop. I managed to mention that she initiated the divorce. She wanted to be single. However, I couldn't stop laughing, so now she is mad at me. She still lets her daughter come over and play, but she doesn't stay, and I'm okay with that. But Reddit, am I the a-hole here? Am I minimizing her feelings? I don't talk about my dead husband. I did not compare my situation and hers. She did though. And yeah, Ripe Stars, let me know in the comments what you think about this. Do you think that OP is the a-hole or not? And a user in the comments said, not the a-hole, it's a bit rich when the person who initiates the divorce complains about being alone or the other party moving on. It's just delusional. Comment number 2, my husband was deployed and my best friend told me I had it much easier than she did. Her husband had not been deployed, but war was causing him to have to work much longer hours and his stress was increasing her stress. I could not believe her. What the hell? I chose to never speak to her again. Not the a-hole. Update to the story. First of all, thank you for all the comments and messages. Even the message that alluded to how I may somehow laugh at my kids someday and make her feel like crap because I don't react to insanity like this person thinks a normal person should. Whatever. So the good outcome of this is that my now ex-friend complained to a bunch of our neighbors about me, and I have made quite a few new friends for both myself and the little one. They enlightened me to the fact that she has pretty much alienated all of her close neighbors for the same type of reasons. She is someone who always has a worse problem than whatever problem you have. Is that a narcissistic trait? Anyway, she did make a half-ass attempt to apologize to me, but it was more of a, I'm sorry you took it like that. Like there was another meaning to it. I did tell her that I'm not mad at her, but lord, does she have a skewed way of looking at things, and I wish her well, but I don't have the energy to deal with a person like that. And the next one is titled, I can sleep where I want. I've been having major cabin fever recently, working from home and generally being stuck at home. Especially when the weather has been warming up. Getting outside helps a lot, but I've mainly stayed in my own yard. I have a hammock up between 2 trees and I've slept in there at night under the stars. It's nice, it's peaceful, and it makes me feel a lot less like a rat in a cage nowadays. I know it's weird, but I enjoy it. It's peaceful and helps me de-stress after work. However, my neighbors are bothered by it. They said it's weird and they don't want someone sleeping outdoors near where their kids play. They don't like me being out there so much. because their family has less privacy and it would be better if I stayed in the house at night. I said I don't pay them any attention, I'm just doing something relaxing to stay sane because my work and other things have made me stressed. Am I the jerk for wanting to keep sleeping outdoors? Comment number 1, lol, what the hell? You are on your own property. Tell them that you don't want kids playing near where you sleep. Entitled parent, seriously. Comment number 2, not the a-hole, they need to get over themselves, you are in your own backyard and while it may be uncommon behavior, you're not doing anything wrong. If they want more privacy, they can put up a fence, plant trees, close their blinds and curtains, whatever, it's on them. ETA, my response is based on the assumption that you have your own backyard that is separate from your neighbor's property. And yeah, Ripe Stars, let me know what you think about this in the comments. I would definitely say that OP is not the a-hole as long as this comment mentioned, the backyard really only belongs to OP and is not shared or something. If it's really his private property, then he can pretty much do whatever he wants and certainly sleeping there does not hurt anybody. And now let's move on to the next story. It starts like this. As an EMT, I can tell you that I have seen a ton of things while I am working. Many of them being jerks that don't want to respect the fact that an ambulance means there is an emergency and they need to basically give us room. This goes for people who don't move to the side when we are driving down the road and people who get in our way while we are stopped and trying to do our job. The reason that this particular incident is being told to you all is because the jerk in this instance was an entitled police officer. I know that in certain countries it is basically not possible to tell an officer to do anything and they can get away with anything they want. In Russia though, an EMT can and will fight back against a cop if they are getting in the way of our job. On top of that, the law will side with us over them, especially because we are trying to save lives. I recommend that all EMTs put people in their place when appropriate. If your country is one of those where cops can do no wrong, then maybe don't try it there. There was a car accident involving about 5 different cars. Somebody was stopped at a light and another person rammed into them full speed, which made them go forward into other cars. We were sent to the scene because that first car that got hit, the passenger ended up hurt, and since she was also pregnant, we wanted to get her and the baby checked out ASAP. Of course, a ton of police cars were around trying to deal with the fault of the crash and all that stuff. For us though, the only thing that mattered was get the woman into the ambulance and go to the hospital. While we were parked and getting the woman ready for transport, another police car parked right in front of the ambulance. We had no room to wiggle around and basically that car had to move in order for us to get to the hospital. The only thing was that the car was empty and I had no idea which police officer belonged to that exact car. I tried to call out and see which car it belonged to until I found this one officer that it belonged to, and he looked at me with an angry look on his face before speaking. Entitled officer, can't you see that I'm dealing with an investigation here? Open your eyes and take a look around. Me, I understand that, but your car is in the way and we cannot get to the hospital, so if you could just move it for a second and let us get out, that would be great. Entitled officer, you don't tell me what to do. I will move my car when I'm done here. You can either wait or go around me. This was not the first time I had to ask an officer to move his car, but it was the first time that after asking, they had refused. Me, sir, we have an injured and pregnant woman in the back. We cannot wait until all of this is sorted to get out of here. Entitled officer, my job is more important than you trying to move the ambulance. If you bother me again, I might just have to arrest you for getting in the way of an investigation. I gave up talking to him at this point and instead tried to figure out another solution. The driver had no ability to maneuver the thing, so I was left with no choice but to call the number for the head of police, EMTs in my area have access to it for emergencies, and told him what was going on. He was angry and told me to sit tight for just a couple more minutes and he would take care of everything. The woman was stable and talking with the baby, seeming to have a good heartbeat, so we were okay waiting a few more minutes for the head of the police force to do something about that officer. I saw the flashing lights of another police car and it turned out to be the head of police who was escorting a tow truck to the crime scene. Everybody thought that it would be for the wrecked car, but instead the tow truck hooked up the entitled officer's car and put it up on his bed. The officer did not even notice because he was busy chatting it up with somebody else and only noticed after the entire car was removed. He ran up and started yelling at the tow truck driver before seeing his boss. I heard his boss tell him off and saying that the towing for the police car was going to come out of his salary. We left pretty quickly and got the woman to the hospital without any major issues coming up. From the last I heard, she just had a little whiplash and some superficial injuries. Both her and the baby were going to end up being okay. I was lucky enough that I was able to find out the rest of the story of what happened back at the scene with the police officers. At least here in Russia, the EMTs and police tend to see each other enough that we end up having friends in the field. One of my friends told me when we went out for drinks what happened after I left. It turns out that the entitled officer still wanted to be right and explained to his boss that it was an emergency and that he had to park there. Then when the boss walked away, he started threatening the tow truck driver to be arrested if he didn't give back the police car right that second. He got hurt and the head of police got even more angry at his behavior. One of the other EMTs that stayed on the scene told the boss how he threatened to arrest me for asking him to move his car in the first place. An entire investigation against this guy was started and everything he had done as a cop was now being looked over. It turns out that this guy had a history of threatening to arrest people that did not agree with him or did not want to do what he said. He thought that being a police officer meant that he should get special privileges and get to do anything he wanted. Some of these things he probably would have gotten away with if his entire career was not being combed through. It was more than enough for the entitled officer to get fired from his job. He was labeled as abusing his power instead of using it to keep the people of Russia safe from crime. I am glad nothing happened to that woman, but if anything, he might have ended up being the person responsible for it. It also turns out that I was not the first EMT that he had pulled this stunt with. I was just the first to go over his head and do something about it. I had gotten many free drinks over the next couple of weeks from guys that just wanted to hear the story of how I got this entitled guy towed. Like I said before, it was not the first time that I had dealt with an entitled person getting in the way of my work. It was just the only time that it was a cop and ended up with him getting towed and losing his job. And yeah guys, this story shows that entitled people come in all shapes and sizes, sometimes even in law enforcement. Have you ever had to deal with an entitled police officer? And with this, we have reached the end of the video. However, if you cannot get enough of my content, please check out my endless playlist, where you can find thousands of hours of content. In addition, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel to not miss any of my daily uploads. Thank you so much in advance, and I hope to see you again tomorrow.